Hi, this is Dan Fleming from DansMark Software Solutions. This is the demo of a program I have called the Sloped-Railing-Designr. I also have one called the Custom Railing Designer. If you haven't seen that program, you need to go to the appropriate website on DansMark.com and look at the Custom Railing Designer also. Both of these programs share a lot of functions together. We'll go over a few of these. This is the main dialog. Now, the main dialog is broken down into 5 different parts. There's a current post wall rail, which is on the left-hand side, and that's the type of railing shown that it draws. On the right-hand side is the current wall rail dialog, and if I click the wall rail radio button, it changes to the wall rail. Also in post rail, you can do multi-rail applications. I am working on a curved railing system, but it is not available yet. On the left-hand side, on the bottom of this dialog, there's a place called Data. That is for editing, deleting, and saving data sets. In other words, you can configure your post rails and your wall rails with different types of materials, spacings, any type of options that are available. Save those as data sets. Then you can quickly open the data set, pick Edit, and it will populate the whole dialog with that data set. That opens up a whole new possibilities. Now you can configure different types of railing systems, and basically just go in and change the rise and run to get the configuration is done very quickly. So you don't have to go through and configure the dialog every time for the size of railing. You can do it one time, save it, open it back up, and use it again. Also, it saves all the information from one of the railings to an Excel data file that you can bring into Excel. So let's say we have one drawing. It would automatically open up to New for Excel. Once you do more than one drawing, it clicks Add. So if you did 10 railings, just for instance, you could bring all those railings into Excel. Once you do one railing, it automatically goes to Add. That way, it combines multiple railings in one data sheet. Layers. Both programs have layer control. This is the default layering system. Once you change it, it becomes the new default railing system. So whatever this dialog is, you can change the name of the layer, the color of the layer, and the line type to whatever it is that you want. I suggest running the program basically stop one time, see what the different layers, colors, and line types are being used, change it to whatever you want. You can also put by layer for line type on these. That's up to you. By layer for colors. And then if you have a layer name that you want to use, put that in, and it becomes the default layer name that this program will use. I'm going to hit cancel. Also, Excel is shared by both programs basically. There's one data set for Sloped-Railing-Designr and another data set for Custom Railing-Designr. That's for the Excel spreadsheets. Same thing with data. They do not share data together. So if you configure one for one railing system, you need to go configure the other one for the same type of railing system if you want to use that. These are two separate programs, but there are some functions that they share together. Railing type. We discussed that a little bit. either post or wall rail. And either post or wall rail, in post you can use multi-rail. There are only a straight available in this version. It will do end views of stair rails or end views of whatever type of railing that you're needing to use. You can do flat rails, you can do slope rails, and you can do stair rails. That's up to you. You can do them in aluminum or steel. And the next portion that we have is called post rail and wall rail. Well, these are the two different dialogues, and these are the drawing names for each one of those dialogues. We'll go open up the post rail in a moment, and then we'll open up the wall rail and look at that. But first I need to explain to you what the DWG auto count is at the bottom left. With using that checked, I suggest you use that all the time. It keeps up with the drawing numbers. And you can also, what it does is it makes a block out of the drawing. In other words, you do a whole drawing with the title block and everything, bill of material, and it makes a block out of it. So you can move it around. It disappears. So when you can draw multiple railings, and they'll draw right in the same place, but they'll be blocks. And then when you get ready to insert them, you click this insert button, and you can insert all the railings, all the shop drawings, all at the same time. Now, that will be another video for the insert function, but basically it gives you the option. You can either insert them horizontally or vertically. Now that's only if you're drawing in model space with your title blocks in model space. You do have the option also to use paper space with these two programs, and that's in T-blocks. That's another video also, but you can use T-blocks to basically put in your title blocks, and there's an insertion mode where you can put in your title blocks, and once you make a title block default, in other words, we'll just look at it right quick. These are 8 different title blocks. These are the basic title blocks that everyone uses. There's number 1 is portrait, 8.5 by 11. Number 2 is 8.5 by 11 landscape. Number 3 is 11 by 17 portrait, and the other one's a 11 by 17 landscape. Then you have the C size, the D size, the E size, and the F size. Also, you can control the text type that's being used in the programs, and the LT scale, or the line type scale. Whatever you put in here becomes default. So once you basically set this thing up, let's say you want to use 11 by 17 landscapes. You put in the text size that you want as a scale factor. It's going to use this times the scale factor to get the actual text size. Same thing with the LT scale. This is the scale factor size, and it becomes default. You don't have to change it again. So you can either use user mode or regular mode. If you use regular mode, it will still put a bill of material in there, but it will be just a stock rectangled title block. You can also put your title blocks in here. This is also a standalone program, and you can use this program also to do your other drawings and insert title blocks in the model space or paper space. So you can basically set up all your drawings for model space and paper space, use this title border dialog to put title borders on all your other drawings also. This comes standard with both Sloped-Railing-Designr and Custom Railing Designer. You have a button over here for Use PS, for Use Paper Space, and it also has a button for a paper space tab. In other words, you can insert your own title block. It's going to be in user mode. We're going to use Paperspace, and I want to create a Paperspace tab out of the title block that I'm using. So it will also use your title block. Not only that, but it'll put it in user mode so that you can use it as a standalone inside of model space, and it will also create a Paperspace tab for you. And if you have that checked, use Paperspace mode, it will become the default. We're going to set this up as an 11 by 17. Now it has become default. Well, let me go back in here and we're going to put in user mode 11 by 17. That way it knows to use my 11 by 17 that I added to the data. Insert drawing. It draws all these drawings to scale, by the way, every one of them. And it reads the drawing, it reads the title block, finds the scale factors. Even if you have attributes, it uses those attributes and it brings in those drawings, and it's no problem. When you use the title block program as a standalone to use your title blocks and make your Paperspace layout tabs, even if you use attributes, it's no problem. It maps those attributes out so that you can use those either in Paperspace or model space. Also, we have a button called Fix Ticket. In some stairs, if you have an odd amount of stairs, the core drill, let's say you're going to core drill or base plate a stair drawing into the stringer or into the concrete. And with the even mode, you don't have to worry about it because the center posts basically line up with the center of the treads. With the odd amount of treads, you have to actually move the post around. So you would basically run the program, don't use tickets, move your post around to the new spot, and then use this Fix Ticket button, and it will allow you to put your pickets back in and do the bill of material for your pickets, and it'll insert it into your bill of material for you automatically. We're going also in submittals. This is something new that I've just added. So basically, let's say I wanted a submittal drawing or a set of submittal drawings for this whole project. We're going to use this first railing as the model for our submittals, and we're going to do a 10-foot by 10-foot run with a 4-foot rise railing system, and it's going to be on a set of stairs, and we're going to face mount the base plate so they'll be on the edge of the stringer or on the face of the concrete or however it is you're mounting. You have three options: core drill, base plate with plan view, or base plate with an elevation view so that you can mount these on the side. Well, depending on which one of those and what's configured depends on which submittal drawings are actually drawn. It will draw all the details that you need for a submittal. Now, it may not do everything that you need, but it'll do a general set of submittal drawings so that you can quickly put your submittals together for your railing systems. That's all the details, and each one of those details will be in, it'll put a set of them together. Some of them will be in an 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 or D size, whatever fits the best or whatever it is that you're using. In other words, whatever size of title block you're using, some of these submittals will be in A size, in 8.5 by 11. It might be one drawing, might be a section view of a concrete mounted railing system that's core drilled, or maybe it's a face mounted onto the edge of the concrete, or it could be a base plate. Depending on what you draw, depends on what type of submittals are being drawn. So it draws everything from scratch. Let's look at the post rail. The top rail options for this is in this section. It looks like it's busy, but it's really not. It's broke down into sections. We have top rail options here, post rail options here, then we have grab rail options, which are over here, bracket options. By the way, there's only one bracket as of right now for this railing system. I'm going to add a bracket designer so you can put your brackets in here and start using the information from your brackets at some point. Then we have information, and that's just the basic information of what needs to be drawn. There's many different things going on there, and we'll explain those to you also. And then you have the inside railing system. That's the barrier. You have pickets. It's broke down into pickets and into kick plates or picket rails. Those are picket channels. So you can use kick plates, and you can use the kick plates for top and bottom, or you can use the picket rails and picket rails for top and bottom. Depends on what you want to use, depends on what options are going to be drawn. Let's go back up and look at top rail options for just a moment. Top rail options right now is defaulted to 1.5 inch schedule 40 top rail. Picking the top rail button, as long as the pipe is selected, it opens up the pipe dialog. These are 1/8 to 24 inch schedule piping, depending on the size, depends on the schedules. If you uncheck that, it brings up the square and rectangle tubing. You have a square and rectangle tube, you have square hollow structural tube, and then you have rectangled hollow structural tube. So the rectangled hollow structural tube, you go from 2 to 12 inches, depending on the size, depends on the size and gauge. The structural hollow goes from 1.25 inches to 12 inches, and the RC square and rectangle tubing goes from 1/2 inch to 4 inches. So it depends on what you're using, depends on what is being drawn with. Also, in top rail options, if you check profiles, click the top rail button, it brings up the top rail profile designer. You can add all of your top rails to this program. You can use the top rail designer as standalone and in both of the programs, both the Custom Railing Designer and the Sloped-Railing-Designer. If there were more profiles in here, you could either pick them from this drop down, or you could pick the image and it would cycle to the next one. And it would change the data to whichever top rail profile you wanted to use. Also, you can open, save, and delete these top rail profiles if you wanted to. You can add those, and there's a video on my website to explain to you how to use your profiles. We're going to go back to pipe. So notice it changed to top rail profile up here because I had picked top rail profile. Now we're back at 1.5 schedule 40 pipe. The post options are the same way for materials. The grab rail options are the same way for the grab rails. We'll go back to top rail. The pickets are same thing as far as materials. And the kick plate is the same thing for materials. Plus, you have the added advantage of using a picket channel. And that's over here where it says PK rail in the information portion. Once you pick that, you can put in the size properties of your picket channel, open and save delete data sets. Once you pick this and it becomes default and you put in all the different options that you want into this, then you can come over here and save that whole data set just by clicking save, and whatever the name of these two properties right here is what is the name that it's going to save this under. So we'll go back and open up the post rail again and look at some more of the options on there. A line toggle. What that means is on the left hand side or the top in the view that we're looking at, on the left-hand side, whatever the post option is set at for the left-hand side, if you click Align, it's going to align the top rail with that post. Same thing with the right. Align the top rail with the post. So no matter what size or wherever you have to move the post, positive directions goes away from the slope, negative goes down the slope. So same thing over here. A negative puts it in the slope. In other words, the right side would be going up the slope and the left side would be going down the slope. Positive numbers is away from the slope, it's on the flat. So whatever it is that you need, the program will do for you. If you, for instance, if you put your top post, let's say you needed to go 4 foot on the top away from that slope, you could click the Align button in the post options and it would align that post with that top rail. So you can align either the post to the top rail or the top rail to the post. The options are completely up to you. We'll look at the height of the top rail. This is to adjust the height of the top rail. You can put anything you want in here. Big increments are 1 foot. Small increments are 1/16. Same thing with the post options for the spacing for the middle post. Big options, 1 inch. Small options, 1/16 of an inch. The depth. The depth controls 2 different things. The depth is the core drill depth, or it's the faceplate mounted base plate's depth. In other words, from that finished floor, or the nosing line, how far down do you want the center of that post to be? Down onto the face of your concrete. You can make that whatever you want. 6, 8, 12, 14, 20 inches, up to 4 foot. Or maybe it's up to 20 foot, I don't remember. No, I think it's up to 5 foot deep. So we're just going to leave it on 6. So the core drill would be core drill down to 6 inches. That's the extra amount of post it's going to put in the bill of material. Same thing with the base plate, face mounted. Now, if you're using a standard base plate, I'm going to click the base plate and show you the picture changes to a standard base plate. I don't have this changing to a face mounted base plate as of yet, but I think that I'm going to add that to it. Either core drill or base plate. So the picture is going to show you basically the option that you have picked. Let's go over here to grab rail options. For the grab rail, where it says side right here, watch the image. It's either far side, so the grab rail's on the far side, or it's on this side. You have 2 options. Grab far side or this side. Where the grab rail mounts to the post, you only have 1 option at this particular time. That will change in the future. I'll add a bracket designer, and you'll be able to put in your brackets, whatever it is that you use, so that whatever type of mounting system you have, it'll put it in there. Same thing with the right-hand side. It only uses 1 option at this time. The height of the grab rail. Well, I have 2 measurements here. One is the center of rail to center of rail, and the other one is the top distance from the finished floor. So you can change that. Again, You can change those in 1-inch increments, or 1-foot increments, or 1/16 of an inch increments. Let's go back to info. So let's go back to the inside railing. This is the spacing for your picket rails. This is where I'm at in my cursor right over here, where it says inside railings and picket. To configure different type of picket other than a 3/4 by 3/4 by 14 gauge, you would click either pipe. If pipe is checked, it'll bring up the pipe dialog. If pipe is unchecked, it'll bring up the square and rectangle tubing dialog. The spacing is set at 4 inches as a default. If you change it, it becomes default, whatever it is that you need. Maybe you need 2 inches. Maybe you need 6 inches. If you go any more than 4 inches, it's going to come up and warn you. The picket spaces will not reject the 4-inch sphere. The space must be 4 or less. So now it probably won't reject a 4-inch sphere. It may or may not. But this ensures that it's going to. By coming back down and moving that space. We're going to look at the kick plate. If you have a top kick plate on here, the top clearance becomes available. If you don't have it checked, it will not be available. So if you look at the image, we have a kick plate at the bottom, and then we're going to put a kick plate at the top. The clearance is the space between the top of the kick plate and the top or the bottom of the top rail, whatever that might be, even profiles. The bottom clearance is from finished floor to the bottom of the kick plate. Let's say you needed picket rail. There's the picket rail. Now notice the dialog changes from kick plate to picket rail. I'm going to click it a couple times so you can see it. It uses the picket rail that you have specified in the picket rail designer. So if you have, different picket rails, you can open, save, and delete those data sets. You can watch a video on my website about the picket rail designer, how to use it, and how to open, save, and delete data sets. We're not going to go into that right now. Base plates, same thing. You have a base plate designer, so you can define your base plate property. Then you can just define your base offsets, and then the hole properties, and whether it's going to be a top or a front. A front is an elevation drawing. A top is like looking down in plan view. Using top to like a plan view, so you'll see a plan view on a face mount is what you would do for a face-mounted base plate option. Also, you can open, save, and delete data sets. This is the drawing number. This is the run and the rise. If you already know those, put those in there. Or you can pick a length. You can watch a video on my website on each one of these options for base plate, picket rail, picking the length, and calculating the rise and run. Picking the length, basically, you can pick lengths off of a stair drawing that an architect or an engineer has sent you or another company. You can actually pick the nosing line and the points where you want your post to be and align your top rail with wherever your posts are at. Put in your pickets, whether you're going to use pickets or not, grab rail, whether it's core drilled or base plate, or face-mounted base plate, and it'll draw whatever properties that you have. Also, to calculate the rise and run. There's been a few people that expressed a wish that they could calculate the slope. So basically, you go out to the field, you find the degree of the stair, you find the slope length, you put it in right here, and it calculates the rise and run. So if you change this to like 30 inches, just for instance, There's your rise and run with that degree. You change your degree, it calculates the rise and run for you. And when you say OK, we'll put that in there, it becomes default for the rise and run. Click OK, pick a point, and it draws your stair for you. Watch the videos of this Railing Designer drawing stairs. Also, it has a full function help button. Once you click this help button, anything that you pick, in other words, I pick inside, I hit enter, this is the desired drawing name. I hit run, and this is the current post rail run. I had to go open the door for my wife to get in. All these dialogues have full help system. Once help is checked, anything that you pick, click, push a button, whatever, it's going to explain to you what that function is used for. Let's look at the wall rail, for instance. The material, let's explain the dialog first. This is the wall rail options. This is for the top rail. This is the bracket options. And then here's the rise and run. And you can also do a pick length off of a drawing if you don't know the rise and run. I will put the calculator here also, so that you can calculate the rise and run using the angle and the slope length. Same thing with materials. You have two different types of materials, either pipe or rectangle and square tubing. On the left-hand side is where basically it defaults to 1 foot passed on the left-hand side. That's a positive. You can use positive or negative depending on which side of the slope you need to go on. Same thing with the right. Positive or negative. Right now it defaults to 1 foot on the top and 1 foot plus whatever your bottom tread length is on the bottom. Here's the height of the top of the grab rail. You can adjust that to whatever you need, big increments or small increments. Bracket options, there's only one bracket option. That will change in the future. So you can cycle through the different brackets, use the bracket that you put into the system, and it would become default. Now this is where the bracket is located from the end of the rail. On the left-hand side, it's 6 inches back from the end of the rail. So you put in whatever railing length for your rise and run. It could even be flat if you need it. That's up to you. But this is where the first bracket would be, is 6 inches off the left, 6 inches off the right, and this is the spacing for the brackets in between. So if you had to do a 40-foot grab rail, for instance, we started out with 6 inches on the left, 6 inches on the right, with 5 foot spacing. It would calculate all those, do a complete drawing and a bill of material very, very quickly. Same thing with the help system. As before, it has a full help system on both of these dialogues. So it's a very easy dialogue system to use. You can set up different styles of railings, quickly open those up, change your rise and run, maybe a few little spacings here and there, and you're ready to go. It shouldn't take you longer than 20 to 30 seconds to draw almost any flat, slope, or stair railing system that you need with the available options. The available options may change in the future. I'm always adding stuff to these programs. Also, information. This is the version 1. This is my email address of the Sloped-Railing-Designr. Stay tuned for more options. If you have any questions, you want to get a demo and use, make sure that you email me, Dan Fleming, Dan@DansMark.com, and request a download of the Sloped-Railing-Designr so that you can actually use the program for 15 days and decide whether you want to use the program or not, or want to buy the program. I have two different options that are going to be available. One is you buy the program for an X amount of dollars. The other is you could pay like $50 a month, and you could use the program as much as you wanted to. And you pay every month for like a subscription to use the program, and that way you keep up with all the current programming for the Sloped-Railing-Designr. Same thing with the Custom Railing Designer. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, contact me. Thanks.